All hail the revival of a vigorous federalism. And that message does not come from a Republican. I'm Scott Ott with Bill Whittle and Stephen Green, and this episode of Right Angle is brought to you by the members at BillWhittle.com. Well, man, the New York Times says that Donald Trump may struggle in his mission to kill off wind and solar power for the very same reason that Barack Obama failed to heal the planet fully from the ravages of climate change. The Times says that's because the federal government has very little influence over energy or the environment. Those issues, we now learn, are the purview of the states. So President Trump may find himself tilting at windmills, but the clean energy juggernaut shall steam onward, all ahead full. Well, Stephen Green, what's your reaction upon learning that federalism is alive and well and that it's vigilantly guarding our environment?
Well, I guess the question is there a law so powerful that not even Washington can repeal it? We've been hearing this stuff. We've been hearing this stuff ever since the election, that Obama can sign an executive order that cannot be undone by the next president's signature, that Congress needs 60 votes to repeal Obamacare that passed on 51 votes, and so on. And yet, just today, the Senate introduced new legislation saying that they can defund on reconciliation. They can defund Obamacare, starting the process of repealing the law simply by saying, the same way the law was passed by Democrats 6 years ago, simply by saying that the money is not there anymore, and doing it through reconciliation. And because no new budget has been passed, can you believe that? No new budget has been passed since, I think, 2009
Stunning.
or 2010, that can still be reconciled. And it's really the chutzpah, I guess, of the Democrats in Congress saying that you need 60 votes to undo what only required 51 votes, and that the New York Times suddenly discovers federalism when it protects the gains that have been made over these last 8 years. But I think we're going to find that this is the most activist Republican administration since Reagan. At least that's the hope, judging by Trump's cabinet picks. And that unlike Reagan coming in January 1981, there's going to be a solid Republican majority in the House and a good enough Republican majority in the Senate, which Reagan did not enjoy. He had the Senate for a few years, not the whole time. He never had the House. And so conservatives and libertarians have a real chance to get things done for the first time since, well, assuming Trump's cabinet picks are all that they look like they're going to be, for the first time since the New Deal.
Well, with that Obamacare strategy, the devil is in the details of Demon Pass, is he not?
Indeed it is.
Bill Whittle, describe your joy as you contemplate the restoration of one of the crucial checks and balances of our constitutional republic, a robust federalism that will restrain executive tyranny.
I think there's 2 points to be made here. First of all, when I was in debate back in high school, you used to go to the library, which is a building where they had books, and you would get 4x6 index cards, and you would photocopy articles or books or anything you needed as evidence. You'd cut it out, literally glue it onto your index card, and that was evidence. And needless to say, the New York Times was a pretty much unimpeachable source. So first of all, I'd like to thank them very, very much for providing me with the evidence card that we do not need a federal Department of Education or the EPA, since they said both of these things really are just controlled by the state. So there's that. But I think Steve got to the heart of it, Scott, and we see this all the time. The left has no laws and they have no rules. If the law is beneficial to the left, then it is sacred and must be religiously enforced. If it's something they don't like, then it's part of a dead old white man's constitution that will not change, and we need a living constitution, and so on. They always have to have it both ways. And I think the one great thing about all of the tyrannical things Obama did writing executive orders, Trump can come in and write an executive order vacating all of his previous executive orders. And so what that really means, guys, is that everything Barack Obama did was written down in pencil, really.
Yeah. Well, with Republicans in control of Congress and the Senate poised to confirm more than 90 federal judges, including a Supreme Court justice, this is the time to actually restore our federal republic. Now, we can laugh as liberty leeches in the media conveniently conjure constitutional limits to protect their precious climate change issue. We can snort and sniff as they suddenly embrace the 10th Amendment and the doctrine of enumerated powers. But President Trump really will have an opportunity to take them at their word and to retract the claws and jaws of Washington, D.C.'s deadly mantis from the arteries of the American energy business. He could leave the states to their own devices. After all, who cares more about the environment in, say, Texas than those of us who live here? Disingenuous reports like this New York Times piece help us to see, again, that the global climate change faith is little more than a global redistribution and regulation scheme. Does anyone doubt that the same newspaper would have encouraged a President Hillary Clinton to complete Obama's unfinished work by employing her ample executive authority to clamp down on petroleum and to deploy a subsidy surge to her wind and solar cronies? As it stands, President Trump should employ his new @POTUS Twitter account to announce he's shuttering the federal departments of energy and of environmental protection and returning power to the states and to the people from whence it came. That should get our fair-weather Federalist friends energized. For Bill Whittle, Stephen Green, and the Right Angle team, I'm Scott Ott. Thank you to the members at BillWhittle.com for making this possible.